Hey, delayed reaction. Um, First of all, I'm sitting here in all white, looking like somebody's first Sunday, Usher Sunday. Come to the altar. Do you have something on your mind? Is there something that you want to talk about? Is lay your hearts to rest. Okay. My name is Jay Essence. First and foremost, like, subscribe. I am going live, and it kind of dawned on me. One of the things that I really kind of wish that was there was just in my journey of coming to Rhonda or figuring out things was like, how do you start a rabbit farm? Right. So I just wanted to come to you guys today, especially for people who are like, man, I'm going to start doing agriculture. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do all these things in the motherland. Like, what is that step by step process? So, of course, I did not do this professionally. And let me say this. These are all my opinion, entertainment purposes only. So don't be blaming me on anything, but I want to kind of just teach you how to knock on the door of just knock on the door, just knock on the door. So you want to come to Africa, yes, and come to the motherland, and you want to get into agriculture and do it. I'm going to sit here and say, this I am going into November 1st, my third year being in Rwanda. And when I had my dreams and when I made my plans of all the things that I wanted to do, there was nothing on the plan about a farm. I promise you. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to be honest. If I had some water, um, Felix, Felix, Amazi, please. Diego, um, slightly spoiled. No, there was nothing. There was never anything. If you ask my family, if you ask people in the cards, there is nothing about my previous life. Yego, that says agriculture. The only agriculture I can claim is that I went to Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. And I really claim the mechanical part more than the agricultural part because I didn't even go to the ag building like once or twice. So when I say there is nothing like my youth is growing up at Langston University. I am from Oklahoma. My youth, I was one of the LU brats. And what happened is there was like this time, like in the 80s to pre 90s before policies, procedures was a big thing. So it was like all these random kids running around through the university and we'd be going in classes, we'd be in the gym, we was doing all kind of stuff. That was me. And Langston University is home. I don't know what the stats are anymore, but at the time, they was the number one spot for goats. And so this is my biggest regret. Um, like there are so many things you can do with a goat. You can like the milk, the cheese, the yogurt, the parfaits, all of this stuff. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I was a Langston brat. This entire facility was around me growing up all the time. I know about goats. I heard them, I listened. And every summer like in NYSP, you always had to do like these field trips. So they always took us to the field trips and we had to go stomp through all of these different areas on the goat farm. And we had to learn this. We had goat sausage, we had goat brochettes, we had goat steaks, like we all this stuff. We had goat with cheese, with goat cracker, with a goat cracker cheese. Like we had to do all this stuff. And they sat there and they would teach us how to do this. And my biggest regret in life is that I, during that time, was playing MASH with Dale Treese and Nikki. And we ain't learned not near nothing. So now I'm in this agricultural world and all I see is goats, 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 goats. And I know I should have like 6 years of training on what to do with a goat because you know the one thing they don't sell out here is goat milk. Can't find goat milk. I ain't found no goat cheese, but I be seeing goats, be seeing goats, hearing goats. Goats are everywhere. And all they do with goats is goat brochettes. Like now they eat every single part of the goat. Well, not every single part, but every single part. Like I ain't seen no goat hoof stew, you know. But I'm sitting here like prime opportunity of all the stuff that I missed. So I'm only telling you that story because this is how much your girl is not about that ag life. So when I tell you now I have a farm, I dream about a farm. I have a checklist system for the farm. I am in farming agricultural videos. I am learning all this stuff. We have a garden outside. I want to grow these things. I am curious. This is like a whole new world. This is a whole new world. And so I wanted to come to you from that aspect of like how to and things to look for when it's time for you to move to wherever you want to move and you know you want to get into farming. Now, one of the things I will say is that we on the I don't know what we are. Well, I'll say Western world because I was going to say East Coast, West Coast, but like I wasn't there. But we in the Western world, there are a lot of assumptions that are made regarding Africa. And that's a whole nother video. But some of these assumptions um, can cause you to start a lot further down when you are. And so one of the assumptions I really do feel like because I was in ag world is like I just assumed like there's a lot of things growing here and they're not. And so for instance, y'all can hate me if you want to. I ain't seen apples. I ain't seen apples. I've only seen like strawberries because some people do it as like a hobby. I ain't seen no grapes. And now that gets to the first part climate, all of the things that you have to know about that. So you first really have to look at where is it that you want to go in Africa? Where do you want to go when it comes to moving to farming? And what climate are you working with? And while you can go ahead and Google search, your climate, you want to kind of see what's there and what's not and be able to say, okay, what will go good and what doesn't. Now, one of the things that I'm going to tell people, and this is one of my tricks, if you really know you want to get into agriculture, majority of the crops that I see that has quick your turnover are quick crops, crops that will produce in 3 months, crops that will produce in like your 6 month time. I don't see a lot of turnover on like your big crops. Like I have a beautiful friend who's doing, I'm not even going to say the fruit, but I'm going to sit there and say it's a 2 year crop. And people don't do the 2 year crops. And the reason why is that if you're in agriculture, most times out here, or if you're just farming, a lot of people are looking to make returns on their investments as soon as possible. So they'll stay away from things that take a long time and you have to have a long developed business plan for it. And they're going towards your quick crops. So that's something that you really should consider and think about, especially if you're on a big end, like how much money do you have invest? How much time can you push to invest that? And how much money, time, and tenacity, how much grit you want to. Because I do think that there's a beautiful market out here if you're looking for long term, if you can get the land and cultivate and scope all that. The second piece that I'm going to say, which actually should be your first piece after climate, um, is you need to know the true laws of your land. So I'm going to tell you, you got to get off of YouTube, off of Facebook, and you need to go look at the government site and you need to look at your visas to see what you qualify for. You need to see um, the land buying laws, and you are going to have to decide if you're going to do something. Are you looking to purchase land or are you looking to rent land? You're also looking at, so you really just need to know the laws of what you can do before you can get into it. And that's one reason why I 100% love working and doing what we do in Rwanda, because Rwanda's visa is like it's straightforward, just very straightforward. And I've been here 2 years. And my cousin connection has probably processed over 50 visas and 100% approval rate, but very straightforward. If you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. So at the time, I was looking at business, but even agriculture. If you're doing agriculture, check, 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 and this is your business, and then you can go into your visa. And then you look at land laws. I've talked to you guys about that before. Once again, in Rwanda, cut and paste. You're not going to a chief. You're not having to get permission. You are literally finding like a government process in buying land, and you're following those steps through. Anybody else who's giving you anything else is crazy. And I'll tell you this now, you can see the paperwork before the sale, and you need to be. There should not be a sale without you knowing what the paperwork, or at least having the copy of the paperwork with the UPI on it or anything else like that. Talking is just talk. Everything is a government process that you should know how to fill. So when we come back into agriculture in the motherland, number one, climate. You need to know climate, and you need to know your agriculture and growth and what you want to do. Number two is the law. So you can turn around and create whatever you want to create, and it's legit and it's yours, and you can put your name on it. You can put your granddaddy's name on it. You can do all those things. Um, then it's kind of like you need to go into, so what is it that you want to do? Let's say we're going to go ahead and look for the land process, right? Number three, if you're planning to grow, because there's different sectors of agriculture. Let's break that down. You can get into land stock, living stock, livestock. See, I told you I'm new at this list. You can get into livestock. You can get into like your plants and your growth. You also can get into like your mines and your factories. You could also get into equipment, and maybe you're renting out equipment or different things like that. There's different areas in agriculture that you can go. And one thing I would say is that I feel, at least for the first year to two to possibly three, focus on that one thing. Now, I'm not saying this to hate against others. There are people who are doing like these multiple things, and that's really, really good. Um, but the people that I know that are doing multiple have really invested in this multiple lifestyle. I'm going to get into that later when we talk about capital. If you're new, you're trying out, just focus on this one thing that you're going to do, and you're going to do really, really, really well. You could go up to maybe three things, but if you come in with 15,000 things, um, what I fear is like on the back end, when things come up, you can be spread in so many different ways and realms, and you don't want to be spread out so far and so thin that it's just like education. You're doing so many things, but nothing well. Like, what are you going to do well, especially if you're looking for a turnover? Like, what is it that you're going to really know? Also, I would say you want to look at, I don't know what the word is, but crops that can yield more than one thing. Crops that can yield more than one thing. Um, So I'll go with the one, like if you did garlic, you have regular garlic, which is year-round use. You have garlic powder, garlic paste, dried garlic. Like there's so many different things. So what can you do? So that's one reason why I said people sleep on the factory part and the mining and the mills and all those other things. Thumbs up, like the video. I'm still talking. So we go back to looking at the land, and I'm telling you the different one, two, three, four, because there is a big difference between dirt and soil. A big difference between dirt and soil. You need to know what that land is capable of. You also need to know, depending on where you are, because this kind of happened to me with some stuff I was doing in Ghana, the mining and rockage, if that's a word, of that land. Is it really good growing land or not? So you have to look at that. If you're coming in from the States, like bring the pH soil test, like do their $5 on Amazon. Like those are things that I truly miss right now. Like just grab a bunch of little soil tests, grab you a quick little Youth Academy or whatever else like that. Do the little shake it up. You remember when we learned about pH in school? Like get your pHs correct. Check your nitrogen, check your potassium, check your, it's like phosphorus. Like it's 3P. It's two, no, it's a nitrogen, but you want to test your, know your soil. The other piece that I do not talk about enough, but I talk about all the time is, oh my God, wherever you're going, and if you find the piece of land, one, talk, okay, I didn't say that part, but talk to the locals. Talk, not the person who's selling you the stuff. The person who's selling you stuff is vested. Like go back without that person, or just be quick. I'm going to give you the story because I give stories. So I went to Florida Agricultural Mechanical University. Humphreys is like the Jordan of college presidents. I dare you to fight me. I dare you. I dare you. Y'all can fight about Steph Curry. You can fight about, but Humphreys, Frederick Humphreys, is that Frederick Humphreys, Mr. Humphreys. I can't even call him Frederick. I don't even feel right, and I'm a grown woman. But President Humphreys, in his first week of coming to Florida A&M did a couple things. One, he actually moved into the dorms. And this is legendary. He moved into the dorms, so he lived in the dorms for like the first week to 2 weeks, and then came out, and that's why he made his decisions. But Humphreys also solicited students that nobody knew about, like, and he had them come back and report to him or tell him things so he could know from their perspective, because he knew he was always going to get the presidential perspective, right? And Humphreys did a phenomenal job with like his SGA and student body, having that voice. I'm telling you this because while you're going to buy your President Humphreys, there are things that you are just not going to know. So you send somebody else later who was not with you when you were looking to get the inside information, because there's things that the locals know, that the gossips, like, or they know the big players. Like there's this area around where we are, and they have nicknames for certain people. And so like now that I've been there for 2 years, like I know, like, oh, I know who the big players are. I know, oh, this is what this person's really doing. Like, but they have their own communication and everything else like that, which you're not privy to. So send in the spies, yo. Get the intel, get the details. What really happened? Why is this person selling? Oh, this person's selling because they did this. Oh, their daughter's getting married. Okay, okay, or yeah, like what's going on? Um, because after that, that gives you a little bit more of the lay of the land, because what looks good, what lies beneath might be different. And this is where we get into the big one: water. You need to know the accessibility of water for your land. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Doesn't matter the four I gave you. Doesn't matter. Is your land accessible to water? And no, you cannot look next door and be like, oh, they got water, so I can get water, because it is so much. Personal. I am on a lake. I am not accessible to water. And there's a big story behind it, and a story we didn't know about. So, what happened is in my farming budget, that budget has now changed, because we have to look at irrigation. We have to look at, do we do a borehole? We have to look at, all these other things. And because this is my lesson I'm learning, I'm doing livestock. Because of the livestock that I chose, they have to have a certain type of water. So it's not just as easy as going down to the lake and dumping it and letting them go. That will not work for us. So what I'm telling you is you need to know, one, you need to know your options for water. You need to know your borehole options. You cannot, once again, let me tell you what you can do. I take that back. You can look on YouTube, you can get ideas, but you need to find out who in your community or in the government who does that business, because a borehole in Tanzania to build is not the same price as a borehole in Rwanda, because location. Rhonda is landlocked. So for us to turn around and get things done, even when we had the man come out and tell us about solar irrigation, he's like, yeah, our quote for you guys is like at least 40% higher than what we had a quote before, because you're landlocked. And this is how hard it is to get stuff to your location. So these were things that we had not budgeted out before, which we have a brand new budget for, be able to tell you what's going on. So that's why it's very important when I tell you, you need to talk about water, meet the people. What did they do? One of our neighbors got a grant. That's awesome. Grants are no longer available. So the question is how do you turn around? So when you're looking at land, I know you don't understand how much you need to ask about water, but you do, because nothing can grow. Life cannot produce if it does not have water. And I'll be honest with you, one of the things that I am looking at is like how many people we have, even though we have a lake, like how many people are using that lake and for what capacity, and what do we need to do to turn it around? Big thing. So we've talked about climate, we talked about land, we talked about type, and now we talked about water. I'm going to go back into, let's say you're looking at livestock, okay? There's good stuff in there. But you do need to know the differences in your livestock. Like for me, I actually enjoy being a part of what is called small livestock. And from what I do understand, and I saw an article about it a little bit ago, is that Rhonda is taking a turn to start investing into small livestock. The reason why they're investing into small livestock is because it's a quicker turnover, which means it can feed more people, can do more things. This is why I said livestock is important. Because let's say you want to do cows. I'm going to say hello to everybody in a second. You want to do cows. Cows is a great business to get into. You have your milk, you have your meat, okay? But you also have to understand how much does it cost to feed cows? What do they eat? How much of it do they eat? Am I going to grow it or am I going to buy it? Right? And then like how much water, what else you need. Like I was seeing people with cows with molasses and water. I'm like, I'm learning all this stuff. That's why I'm not into cows. Ask me about bunnies, I can tell you all of that stuff. But it's not just as easy like, oh, I'm going to go get and I'm going to go do. Like there's a cost to feeding them. Like literally from what I understand, the pig game in Rwanda is fierce. It's fierce. But pigs eat so much. And I knew, like, I ain't gonna lie to you, I was getting greedy. When I was hearing how that could chunk up, I was like, dang, ching, 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 ching. Like, I was starting to get into Rick Ross, like, oh, I'm about to Maybach music. Like, and then I thought about it, like, I gotta feed them pigs to hit that weight. That's a lot of food, money. Like, and I was like, nope, let me stay over here with these little babies. I'm gonna stay over here with the baby boys. Um, so that's why I said you have to kind of do your research on or your understanding of what type of farmer you're going to be and your livestock. Um, and then what else is there? To be honest with you, even though there's not a market in Rwanda, I'm so curious about duck. I'm so curious about duck. Um, so okay, so we're talking about that. I'm going to shout out real quick, not Linus Bain, because they said the extra cost. I'm going to tell you real quick. So now we're going to get into cost before I get into all this other stuff. So let's say you found your place, whatever you want to start. You have no clue the amount of capital you need to start. You have, let me say this one more time, no clue about the amount of capital. Now, the one thing that I am so happy I did, and I'm not saying you have to do it my way, you got so many people who do things differently. And I'm almost going to say, kind of like being natural. You have some people who transition, which means they grow out their permed hair and slowly come into it. And you have people who just big cup and just strip it and just let it go all out. The same goes into when you're starting with agriculture. Okay. Um, you have people who are like, I'm going to jump all in and I'm just going to do it and I'll figure out as I go. And you have people who, like me, strategic planner, strategic planner, strategic planner. So I'm going to go into this piece real quick. If you're going to be local, you're going to be local. And if you're going to be modernized, you're going to be modernized. And your modern facilities look different than your local facilities. Nobody said what's better or what's worse. Some people will fight for modern because you probably can get more at the end, wear and tear, whatever, but it's also going to be cost more. We are starting local for me as much like I feel like we're kind of in the middle, but I'm going to go back to the strategic. The thing that I absolutely love that I did is that I started with the rabbits. I started with 4 rabbits at my house so I could learn the habits and what it takes to do what I need to do. So I can learn about their feeding, learn about their foods, learn about their needs. And I am so happy. And I expanded from 4 rabbits to, we had 64 when we moved, and it was all planned. We had our breeding mistakes. I'm not gonna lie to you. We got some we got some. I don't know the politically correct word to say, but we got some we got some babies because we made some breeding mistakes. We didn't let the brothers and sisters leave soon enough, and now it's like Appalachian Mountains down there. We got flowers in the attic. But all I got to make all of those mistakes on such a small scale because one thing I wanted to do was I wanted to know my industry. I wanted to know my industry, and that's really hard because when you're working in the CEO type field where I am, I I I do a lot of work funding. I do a lot of work managing, making things. It's a boss role, so I don't get to spend as much time digging in the plants like I want to or doing all these other stuff. So I needed that time to practice and all those other things. And so learn it. And then we moved and we are at 97 rabbits now. We are at 97 rabbits now. And honestly, we're on a 10-day break because we have to regroup. And in regrouping, there's things that we have to do, and all of that's done. And the operations manual is coming. That's what's happening. But I like that I did that because what happens now is when somebody's like, we need this much for food, we need this much for such and such. I don't balk as much because I did it. Like I have a spreadsheet on exactly what's supposed to be happening. And I was already like, hey, we need to have this, we need to have this, we need to have this. And I'm also foreseeing our food problems. I'm also foreseeing because I already did the numbers. This much, this rabbit eats this much a day, and this rabbit eats this much a day. It costs this much, and we need to be able to do this. And depending also on the livestock that you have, their diet. And rabbits don't eat for us just one thing. They have their food is like grass, then there's a grain, and there's a such and such. Like because we're trying to make sure that they're at certain weights and stuff. So I know exactly what that is, but I took out almost a year to figure that out. In the same aspect, during that year, we built. There's your other cost because you're going to have to build. You're going to have to build. Well, you don't have to, but for us, what we had, we wanted to, and you have to build, so you have to create what structures you have. Now you could always go, like I said, with your local structures, which is usually wood, and your grass, and it's tied together, and you could do that. It works just fine. And one of the examples I'm going to give is like beehiving out here. They have beehives that are made out of trucks, like tree trunks. They're beautiful. I ain't touching them, but they're beautiful. But that's the local way of doing things. Then you could turn around and purchase a modern beehive, and they both going to get you honey. They're both going to get you a yield. It's just how do you want to do things. um so the same thing was with us when it came time to build, because of what I want my facility to do and be and what I want it to become. So it was not just like I've been to places which is just a farm. Okay, it's just the farm, bare bones, everything else like that. I knew I needed storage units. I knew I wanted these things and all that other stuff. So while I'm studying the rabbits in one space, we are building and making a plan in another space, and money is going out for that. So I'm about to say hello to everybody, but you need, when I talk about all these things, you need capital. And when I say you need capital, you need three times what you think you thought. You need three times what you think you thought, because one, mistakes will be made. Mistakes will be made. When I tell you, the Wizard of Oz had a whole show and tell because it ripped the roof off our first structure. Like the wind, the Wicked Witch of the West came through and our roof was gone. You will make mistakes. Um, what else is it about the building? Um, because of the economy that we're in right now, your prices are not set. Because of the fluctuation with the shipping and everything else, your prices are not set. You thought they were set, they're not set, and prices can change. We're going to work on that water. So the prices are not set. So that's another reason why you need to just go over the budget that you thought you need to do. There's stuff that you're not going to take accountability. Your transportation, you're driving out there, you're what you call it. When I tell you that we've hit some little transportation, like I don't want to lose a tire, but we might have to lose a tire like on this trip or whatever. You have those things. You have um the difference between we're going to bootleg something until we get the real thing together. Um Petrol. My God, the amount of petrol that we need for stuff. Um like we have to get our own bicycles. So what I'm saying is that in building, because in agriculture, and this is where I'm going to end this before I start talking to people, is that once you start whatever, you are not going to get a return until that thing is completed. If you want to start with chickens, like you have to feed them, you have to, I was going to say birth them, but whatever. You have to feed them, you have to fatten them up, you have to keep them from pecking each other and fighting each other. You have to vaccine them, you have to do all kind of stuff to them first before they're ready to be sold, which gives you your yield. And I don't think that we've ever talked about that with agriculture. Like people who are farmers, I shout them out so much because they are literally starting something with a zero capital and a hope for return. It's a hope for return. Like, yeah, it's going to definitely return, but you have to put in so much money first. You have to put in so much money, time, sweat, tears, all that stuff first before you even can come back with the yield. And so that's why I said you need three times, because you have to be able to sustain what you see and what you want, and there's no sales from it. There's no sales from it from the beginning. Like literally, we're going into growing season, which means that we have to fund planting, we have to fund sowing, so one of those. We have to fund all this. Now, if I fund all this, I'm looking at having my return come in January first time, or February. But this is 2 years. No, I give it a year. This is like a year in the making. So the thing that you don't realize is how much capital you have. So whatever capital you think you coming up with, times it by three. Does it mean to stop? No, I will never stop you from your dreams. Just say you need to have a bigger number. All right, let me start saying hello. Yo, D Inner Silence. Hey, J to you. Everybody, please like, hit subscribe, thumbs up the video. Definitely respect for that. Fitz, oh God, scared the mess out of me. Hey, Felix. Ooh, thank you. Felix, is this my water from in my room? Okay. Mm. Do I have the bubble water? Do I have one of those in the fridge? Yeah, the small one, the buzzy. I want a bubble. I want a bubble. Thank you. CTR. Hello. Okay. Black Hannah. This sounds like MORE than a notion. Hey Jay, more than a notion. Yes. Okay. So what Blaine had said earlier is never thought about the extra cost. There's so much. It's so rewarding though. I'm going to be honest with you. When you're working in agriculture, it's just there's a reward that's just different to me. All right, Lioness, good to see you. N, just N. A B C D E F G H I J K L M N N. I will be in Rwanda the end of December. I have been planning for 2 years already, celebrating you coming through. Make it happen. Beautiful time. All right. Yes, beehives. Real interesting. Yes, I could tell you about beehives. What do you want to know? I've learned so much. Aerodunk rabbits keep the brothers. Okay, so let me explain this. This is not on purpose. You keep the brothers. Okay, no, I have to say this correctly. So there's this beautiful time and time frame between just learning rabbits, the weaning, and then the separating, because the milk of the mothers, the way it coats the intestines for the baby rabbit is really needed. And if you take the baby rabbits away from the mother too soon, um, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it. So it's this beautiful time of weaning versus you have been identified as boy and girl, and then you need to separate, because if you separate them too soon, they won't have access to the mama's milk, right? That's not what happened. I'm just giving you this so I can sound real scientific. Basically, okay, so remember when I tell you about the mistakes, and remember when I told you about the capital? Basically, my team was like, we need cages. And remember, and this is what happened. I was at my home and I was like, I didn't buy the cage wire fast enough, and they did their thing. We didn't even know what happened. Next thing you know, we had 7 cross-eyed babies that they stay in a special cage so we don't mix them up with nobody, because we know. And they be walking around. So no, no, no. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. It was me also learning that when my team asked. So one thing that I've kind of recognized is like my team will ask for something or just kind of mention we need something. They never give me a why. And so for me, I'm a why. Like, what is this? What's the purpose of this? Why do we need this? And whatever else like that. That is technically now a miscommunication that I have to understand. I have now have a trust with my team that I recognize that when they tell me something's needed, it's needed. They're not going to sit there and tell me the why. They're not going to give me that whole other thing. But they kind of feel like we told you, and I was like, where's the meeting? So part of that is learning. That's why I said the whole year, because that's one thing with you and your staff and everything else. Once you figure out your team, it takes time to figure out how you guys mesh and work together. And that piece was like, it was everybody. First of all, it was just so much going on. And yeah, so that happened. So we got seven. That's how they be. That's how they be. So we just leave 'em seven in the little in the short bus. That's what I'm probably gonna do. I'm gonna probably paint them cages yellow and just call it the short bus cages. The short bus cages. CBC. Jesus, God help me. SBC. 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 So if you guys have any questions, I've talked about this for like the last 30 minutes, and I hope that it just helps spark your curiosity in the things that you have to know, understand, grow. I do feel like um if anybody asked me, which nobody is, there is such a need for more education. And let me stop and I say I can't really say that because you're talking to somebody who literally skipped out and played MASH on all this wonderful education. Um, so I think that the world is getting there and we got to get there. But there's so much that can be done. There's so much that can be done. Oh my goodness. That's a good question. Is there a smell raising rabbits? Wait a minute. So the answer is there should not be. The answer is there should not be. I'm not going to tell you no because it all depends on whose farm you go to. Um, but the answer 100% should be there should not be because rabbits, and I really do feel like I'm going to be doing another video on this later. Rabbits are extremely, like I call them my bougie bunch. Like but they are extremely clean. And that's what you notice if you ever see them clean. They always, like if you think about it, you're like, oh, I didn't notice that they're always grooming themselves, kind of like cats, right? But but they're always grooming, they groom each other. They are extremely clean and they flourish in clean environments. So one of the things is when I say there's a whole operation manual, we clean twice a day. We are very, very, very clean. And so, because of that, there's not a real smell. However, I have been to farms that don't treat their bunnies like that. Um, there's certain ways that you're supposed to treat them and they flourish better because they are an easily stressed animal. Because, like, bunnies know they prey, they know they've been brought into this world to be somebody else's dinner. So they are very nervous. They be stressed out. So it's they're really about give me peace. Like they need this environment, and not everybody farms with that knowledge in mind. And like I'm telling you, because like even when we started, remember I said like our team had to build into something. There was so much talking behind my back I knew about because they were just like this Mzungu crazy, like this just because I was so serious about do this, treat them this way, hold them like this, be like this, da da da. And now, like I said, an hour later, a year later, you see them and they're treating them, and and it's there because they have seen a difference with what our rabbits are doing and producing versus what I guess they have just seen in natural whatever habitat. So beautiful. Yet I haven't seen you in so long, girl. Sounds like wow, FAMU. Let me tell you something. I lost the last sentence. FAMU has, like, I just, the hindsight I would have known. If I had known, FAMU has this. and I don't think this is the right word, but it's like it's not agricultural studies, but they had this program that I laughed at. And I do believe my line sister took this program and it actually bridged her into d- um her doctor role, but it was like agricultural studies or something like that. And I remember I saw it and I was just like, ugh, J school, baby. Once I would have ran there. And I don't that's why I said I don't think it's called agricultural studies, because when I looked at what it did, it created the people now that are the barterers for like the trades. Like they're the ones that go to different countries and stuff and help set the prices and everything in agriculture and help create those exports and everything. And one thing I noticed is that even with COVID, with the planes, like there was an entire plane system just for trades with agriculture and stuff. And it's just like, oh my God, like legitimate. Number one, I, that was a career that you really don't have to be into farming to do. Like if you were a business major or anything, that would have been a flourishing place to go, but you would have been focused on just this other lifestyle and not just corporate America in that aspect, but in so many different worlds. Like there's just so much I did not know. And I just, oh my gosh. So yeah, that's one of the things in hindsight. Like if I could go back and change my career, there's part of me is like, I'm not going to change because there's a life that I lived and I lived for a reason. So it's not that. But that degree program and what FAMU had to offer, um, in some of those buildings, because you went there, I just really felt like I slept on a couple of things. And because things are not popular, doesn't mean they're not needed. And if you like FAMU, of course, SBI was popular, engineering was popular. But now that I think about things, it's like if I went into a small niche, especially 99, 2000, that small niche blew up now. My homegirl, not my homegirl, my line sister, and I do need to shout her out, and I might just remember this point, but she was like one of the few that did graphic design. And so this is 99 graphic design, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, whatever. And she just knew tech. Like I don't even know what she did, but I just know like she was the only one doing it, and who she is now. Oh my God. So like even when people talk about, oh, college is not da, 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 no, 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 no. Because you're looking at like the stereotypes. There are so many opportunities and information and people to know and little bitty things that can be done that if you latch onto them, if you learn it, if you understand, if you know how to use a skill set, if you are creative, if you're innovative, if you are have tenacity, you're just strong, you could be changing the world. And she is. She is graphically, I don't even know what she's doing. She got so many ATD, TTR, whatever. Like she turned around and called me one day, like, yo, put your VP on, export this code out of Netflix. I need this information for a study. I didn't know what I was doing. I did feel like I was Hacker Rawson, but it was like awesome. But I was just like, what she's doing is awesome. Elder, hello, cousin house mom. I missed y'all, believing all is well. Can't wait to see you in person. I have so many questions that I feel like only you can answer. You don't trust everybody. I respect that. I do say it's good to be cautious. Um, Mom is fine. I'm gonna call mom afterwards. She is taking care of business. She's taking care of business. So I can't wait to see everybody. There you go. There's the rest of your sentence right there. Pop, pop, pop. And the emojis. All right. What you are learning had to go in this direction. You're on another path, all shaped or shaping you. Yes. And so thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I forget those things. And so I'm just grateful. One of the things that I'll probably put in my journal later is that I said, you know what? I had 45 years, 45 years doing it one way. And thank you, God, I get to do my next 50 years doing it a different way. That's it. That's it. I get to have the both of both worlds. Like I get to do what I did, and now I get to switch it up and say, what is it like now this time around? That's all it is. All right. Do you see beehives, honey, as a standalone business or as an added value? I was thinking of a dairy farm as the main business. Um, so in I can't remember in Did you say you were coming? Because if you're coming, you get to see things firsthand yourself. Um, you're talking to somebody who's slated in a couple aspects. Number one, um, it's all what you do with everything. Okay, so so this is personal opinion. I'm not an expert. All of those other things. I personally, I have no problem with doing honey as a standalone business. Have no problem. No problem. However, I would do honey as a value added. Me personally. Number one, period point blank of what I want to do or what I would do is the value that bees have in your agricultural population is is magnificent. Is magnificent. And you're getting me on these different tangents that I had gone on before because I want to like, okay, so what if I get into floristry? Like if I was a florist, yes, I would do that and I would have bees. And then bees also, the honey taste is different based upon what they populate. Did you know that? Especially if you have sunflowers and stuff. So, but me personally, and that's a personal one, every time I have thought about honey, except for one time, and I'll give you that truth, it has always been as a value added. And I always kind of have known, like in my business, in my plan, I'm giving y'all too much information now. It would have been like a gift for my VIPers, like a Christmas holiday gift or something like that, or whatever. So that had always been my plan. The only time I was working with Black Greeks in Ghana, and they wanted to come up with an agricultural project, and I had proposed honey as a standalone business at that time with a focus on the honey and then being able to do the beeswax with different things and making products if you wanted to later. So that's the only time I looked at it with a standalone business because um, we were still a lot of us were still in the States. So I was trying to also come up with a business that did not have to have as much hands on by all partners. And I did think that also you had the name behind of the honey being able to stand out. So yeah, I didn't have a problem with that. Does Rhonda provide farming or agricultural classes for foreigners? The truth is, I have not asked. So I can't say yes or no. I have not asked because I am headstrong and just when I'm ready to do something, I do it and I get my own classes. And like most times, I don't like walking into buildings and having zero knowledge. There's only two or three things I think in my lifetime where I was okay with doing that. But most times, I don't like walking into a space with zero knowledge. So I will get a book. I will reach out and talk to somebody. I will do something. As much as people been like, "Oh my gosh, like I moved to Dubai, I didn't know anybody." Yeah, but I researched like so in this case, um because the agriculture piece came to me with the rabbits, and I can tell you some things and some things not, and some things are my fault. I 100% become accountable. But that was also during COVID lockdown. So it wasn't like there was a lot of classes and the country was at 100%. It wasn't. Number two, there are rabbit farms out here that are already doing things. I am still working full time. I still work other positions. So I don't have the time always. And y'all don't know if you remember this, the whole car situation was janky at the beginning. The whole car situation was janky. So like the farm that I knew about was like 3 hours away. So I would have to drive 3 hours, go whatever, whatever, and then be able to come back. And I haven't seen the farm. So I don't know if they're really working at the level I want to work at or if they're just doing rabbit farming. Now, my project manager has gone and done some things. He has done things. I have sent him to do things. He represents that for me. And I am not saying Rhonda, I am saying I am actually I signed up for a class in Uganda. I was working really hard to go physically, and that just was not panning out. And so I actually called them and like, yo, can we just do this class on Zoom? And they were like, yes. So I'm actually doing a class next week. Um, because it's kind of like it's kind of like in basketball. Like if I finally like I'm we're good at this one piece, but now I need to go ahead and get into the second piece. And I want to talk to other people first to see how they're doing things, and then I'm going to go back into my books and all this other stuff because I do feel like there's certain things that I'm doing that haven't been really ventured out yet, or if they've been ventured out, nobody's talking about them. So I'm now gathering more information. So is that information coming from Rhonda? The answer is no, not at this time. And because of what I'm doing, I'm now in like two groups that is like they're called the rabbit farmers. And those groups are not based in Rhonda. So I shout out the guys who put that in. So just where the place of where I'm going to go, Rhonda is not providing that class that I know about. Now, Rhonda does have some excellent universities in agriculture. My project manager has his degree from, I forgot what his degree's in, but he has that. So I know Rhonda has that path. I just don't know that path. Do you have a starter class online for interested parties and different subject matters that want to be Rhonda bound, like line living quarters for visitors? Yes. So I have a couple things. Um, Number one is mycousinconnection.com. And oh, I just did that. And My Cousin Connection is the Relocate to Rwanda course. It is a course. Um, Let me see if it's going to let me share screens because I am going to come off in a second. I am actually revamping the website because I don't think people knew that course was there. Um, Let me see. How do you share? There we go. Share screen. Oh, I'm hot. Okay, so My Cousin Connection is opening here. I do have. Mm-mm, this is getting updated, so it might change a bit. So, want to move to Rwanda? Take the course. And this is a course, and I am going to be changing some things in it, but I'm going to show you this now. Because people be like, "Oh, this is good." Now, do you see this right here? Use the code discount me for 50% today. Do not lose the code. Do not lose the code. Okay. So the code is there and it's all here. And this is all of the curriculum here. Like I did so much. So all of this is preparation and relocation videos that I provided for a lot of people. Um, Traveling checklist, what to do in your first week, how to do it, getting settled, additional information, estimating the cost and budgets. Like I did budgets from people. Yeah, I did a whole bunch of stuff. So thank you for asking. I am so horrible at promoting myself that I have to work on the thing. But um, so number one, can you invest in my farm? I am not saying no. I'm saying that that is going to be a meeting and we can definitely talk and we can discuss. And I do have a silent partner so that we part in it. And so that piece. Because, and I will say this, I will say there's this beautiful time frame where a person can come in and invest and is really needed. And if I get past that investment time frame, hey, Thank you for asking. So we still open for an investment. If I fill out a land form, can I trust my cousin connection with money to buy land? Just for starters, I need your guidance. Let me say this, I rather talk to you and get a specific idea of what it is that you're trying to do, how you're trying to do it, and what are you trying to do. There's a couple of things. Because here I don't know what you're trying to do with the land. I rather you see it first. Like Emmanuel's our assistant, he has gone with people and worked with them in that process. Um, we also have had some people who bought land that was not in Rhonda, but they bought it and no problem with that process. And they've done it two or three different ways. Um, I am, because of this is what I am not comfortable. It's like, hey, can we take your money, whatever else like that, and do that for you? And probably and because I'm not comfortable, that's probably why it's even better for us to do it because I am so serious about what people do and how they do it and what it should look like. So if that is a journey that you're really trying to go on and you're like, I want to go on this journey, I would have us be part of that journey just to make sure that you are taken care of. And then that's the way it needs to be. It's right there on the screen. It's called discount. And once you are a member of that course, which is 100% yours, if there's something that I haven't done, you could ask me and I will shoot that video and upload it. Do you do crowd farming? When you ask me, do I do crowd farming? I've participated in it. I participated in it in three different places. Shout outs to David. I think theirs is called it's like Harmony Village 100 or 100 Harmony Village, and I haven't pulled it up on the screen. Um, I'm gonna find it first. So I've done I can't remember the name, but if you want to email me, I'll send it to you because it's in my thing. I've done three different things. I've invested in Grow for Me, which is based out of Ghana, and received a return, no problem. I did crowd farming for maize with them, and I would have done it again with them, except for the government changed their payout rule, and it's not bad. It went from being like the government took like 1% to 3%. And at the time, I was just like, no, because I was a small investor. I was not a big investor. I also have done Sava Farms, which was Sorazi. And we have done some work with them. So I do that. I am on both ends of that one. I am the investor relations person now, but I also am an investor as well. And so then if you're saying, do I do crowd farming for my company? Personally, no. Hatima Farms does not participate in crowd farming at this time. So yeah, it's Harmony Village, but it's like there's 100 somewhere in that, and I cannot remember, and I don't know where David put his information, and I really hate this because I'm trying to shout him out. Oh, so the reason why I had said Harmony Village is that this is the newest crowd farming opportunity here in Rhonda. I know David. David has spent 2 years, Harmony Village 100, really building up this program. Ah, is this David? Yes, it is. They updated the website. It's really good. And oh, look at the videos. Yeah, they've done it. Oh, that's rude of me. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. How do I share screen? You heard of them through African Investment? Yeah, David's doing some great things. Um, did I share the screen? This is throwing me off. And the reason why I'm shouting out David is that David was there, like I said, in the beginning and looked at his platform and his plan, and he really does have a lot of things there. So I do think that's worth a good telephone call. Um, because like 2 years and really building it. Um, man, if I have time, I might go ask David to do a interview with him because, like I said, he's really doing some good stuff. East African agriculture. Um, But yeah, so they are a crowd farming um, platform as well. And there's the different, they like chili pepper. Oh, he's doing garlic. I shouted that out. Honey, yes. Chia seed. Mm, Personally, I'm skeptical about chia seed right now. That has nothing to do with David. Rhonda was hit with a major scandal. And so I would just ask about the exporting for chia seed. But yeah, but David has done all the research. Um, oh, who's this? Blaine, would K and L real estate help in finding farmland or only residential? So K and L's real estate, um, you really have to reach out to them. What K and L does that I really do like, and it really does help people, especially those who are still in America who's looking to come over here, is K and L does all of the dirty work. Like they get the documents, they get the land, whatever else like that. They do all of that stuff, and the land that they have ready for you is ready with like a 2-day turnaround. And so um I don't know, and that's a question to ask him. Does he go out and hunt for land? They have a registry of land already available. And so if you're looking for something, if it fits what they have, bam, go, here's what you do. And so I know of the residential land that they have, and I believe there's some land on the lake, and I don't know what it's labeled under. You would have to reach out to them about specifics. Yeah, oh, let me shout this out. So that's David Franklin. Don't know if he wants his whole government name up there. But yeah, they are another one that's doing well with the crowdfunding opportunities. And like I said, I am part of Sava Farms, which does it as well. But I was just gonna shout him out because I know that they've been doing some stuff and talking. And honestly, we're in two different fields. So who am I thirsty? Hmm. So what happens is, let me break down why I like K&L. Um, whew, what happens is number one, when you start looking for land and you're looking for housing and stuff and all that stuff, especially if you're coming out of Kigali, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with locals most of the time. And locally, um, they don't have to go through the processes of subdividing their land, having their paperwork, or whatever. So, what happens a lot of times, if they're ready to sell, they're ready to sell. And not necessarily is the paperwork together. So there's this rumor that goes out like, oh, they're trying to cheat you and all that stuff. That's not what's happening here in Rwanda. Like, what's happening is either paperwork is ready or paperwork is not ready. And that's why I said it's a government based process and you have to follow those government rules. And so when I say paperwork might not be ready, um, prime example is one of the pieces of land that I purchased um, came, the sale was done through the mother, but the daughter's name is on the paperwork. So we had to hold off the sale because they had to go back and fix the paperwork so the mother could sign off because she's not on the paperwork. It was the daughter. You see what I'm saying? Like it's just very those technical things. And so because those things are the technicals, those are the things you have to take care of. So what happens is that K and L has done all of that because those things can take a month to 2 months or whatever else like that. So when you're talking to K&L and K&L is showing you land, K&L is showing you land that is in his name because all that other stuff has already been done. His land is ready to go. We have a friend, my cousin connection member, and it literally took her 2 days to get the land transferred over. She had a copy of her paperwork. Then the land office took 2 months, which is about right. It takes about 2 months. And then she has her land in hers. This is also a wonderful thing because for people who are not here yet, or people who cannot be here physically to see and follow up their processes and don't know anything, K&L works well with them because everything is already done. It's set, finished, complete, kapush, done. Yep. I purchased land from K&L. The process was quick and professional. like it's already like it's packaged for you. This is like you having a weave. No, this is like you having a wig. You don't even have to do any breaks. Like it's ready, you fly, you done, go. And so that is that process. uh K and L email. Y'all gonna make me go and hunt this down. Like y'all, the research that I am doing right now for K and L's email. So that's a big deal because once you start coming out, and if you don't have anybody who knows the process, like who knows the process, they're just going to say this, this, and this. And it's not, baby. Everything when it comes to land is paperwork. That's why I tell people you don't even talk to anybody without getting a UPI. You don't talk to anybody without even with you being in the States right now. And if you wanted to talk to somebody and somebody's like, I have land, you say, great, send me the UPI. Like you can find the UPI online, and the UPI tells you who owns the land. Like, because you will have like a cousin who's trying to sell the land, and I'm doing this for such and such. His name is not on the land. He is not the person who can sell the land at all. You should not be talking to the cousin. You need to be talking to the people whose name is on the land. Period, point blank. And that's why you want the UPI. The UPI tells you what the land is labeled. If it's Gatera, if it's um I sent the wrong one. Gatera is resident. That means that that land is slated to be resident because Rhonda is so small that the government has already told them what land is slated to be whatever. Is this land going to be business? Is it eco business? Is it tourism? Is it all of these other things? Is that the right email address? I feel like I misspelled it. Um, oh, I'm hot. Lord, I'm hot. And so all of that is important. Put the WhatsApp number down. I feel like because his last name is Kazinza. I don't know where that R came from. Um, but it might be it. And so I was saying something else about the land and I totally forgot. I totally forgot. Totally forgot. Um, Oh, so the UPI tells you how many meters. Like we had somebody who sold a certain piece of land, and when they gave her the land document, lo and behold, the meters that was promised was not the same meters. She went back and figured it all out. But the UPI, that paperwork tells you everything. It gives you the person's legal name. It tells you their ID number. So everything is going through that process. And then you can take the UPI, and I believe that you can get the local notary here, and the notary can look up the UPI and they can tell you if there's a loan on the land or not. If there's a loan on the land, they can't you need to be able to address that because they really can't sell until that is paid off with the bank. So they can tell you if there's money owed on the land or not, all from the UPI. That's why I'm telling you the UPI is gold. The UPI is gold and the land documents are gold because if they have like a mortgage out on the land or a loan out the land, the bank has the actual land documents. You get what I'm saying? Like there's really like this legalized process that if you know all this stuff, then you know it, and then you have to be, because what's going to happen is when you find just a regular realtor, the realtor is trying to make their money. Like they're really trying to make their money. That's how they get paid. They get paid off of commissions. So that's what they're focused on. And so that's one reason why people get charged just to go look at property or whatever, because all this time people can be wasting people's time. And it's like it's just, I don't want to say it's this mess. It can be this hectic mess if you're not focused or pay attention and you don't know what's going on. Because like I was in a house buying situation and the bank was just like, it was a no-go. It was just an absolute no-go. And now it's this horrible headache now for me to have to kind of deal with the aftermath of that and just things that I've learned. And so, um, yeah, like I said, that's a whole nother video. But I'm going to go ahead and end this out because we're like at an hour and 10 minutes, and I wanted to be able to knock out some other stuff. Um, I'm gonna, like I do all the time, kind of keep it open if there's some last second conversations. But I will say, like, subscribe, watch the videos, watch the commercials. I do feel as if I want to thank everybody for helping me kind of start out again. Um, I'm trying to get into a rhythm. I'm going to not promise you every day, but a rhythm of being able to talk to people who want to hear and know these things. I will say, if you stay with me this long, put underneath, like, what is it that you want to hear about? I do feel like sometimes I'm repetitive with talking about things, and I want to make sure that you guys are growing. If I'm growing, you're growing. That's the whole point of everything. For everybody else, thank you. Thank you for rocking with me. Thank you for spending some time with me. Hey, how'd you like it? Was it good for you like it was good for me? All right, I'm out. Bye.